Am I the a-hole exposed my stepbrother as a liar which has caused my mom and his dad to fight?
Am I the a-hole for not wanting to do Thanksgiving dinner at my parents' without my wife? Am I the a-hole for telling my sister she needs to start being grateful for her healthy baby?
Am I the a-hole exposed my stepbrother as a liar which has caused my mom and his dad to fight?
Me, 15 female, and my stepbrother, 17 male, have never really got on. My mother married his dad when I was 11, and we just never bonded. My mom often tried to encourage us to bond, but he never tried. His dad acted like he was perfect because he always got better grades than me, was better at sports, better friends and stuff. He was good to my mom and me, but it was clear that his son was super important to him, and it was annoying how much he did for my stepbrother. Well, I found out that he wasn't so perfect. He had been telling our parents that his band practice was being extended by an hour, but I found out that it wasn't true. He had been hanging out with his bandmates and often going home and making out and stuff with one of them, who was a guy. I collected all the evidence I could and left it on the table for our parents to find. It was stuff like pictures of him going out or some screenshots from his friends' stories. Well, they found it. And they were mad. They called him down and he got in serious trouble for lying to them. After he was grounded and sent up to his room, I heard my mom admit to his dad that she knew he had been lying and sneaking off to see someone, but she thought it was a girl and was mad that she felt lied to. This led to an argument between them as he misread it as homophobia rather than her feeling tricked and lied to when she did him a favor by letting it slide. The argument got so bad that he sent my mom to sleep in the guest room and then went behind her back and ungrounded his son after they had a talk. I feel so bad now that this has caused a fight between my mom and him. My mom has reassured me that I did the right thing, but I can't stop thinking how it's my fault and that she's been kicked out of her bedroom. Did I mess up? Am I the a-hole?
Yep. It's not like mom is an angel for letting it slide. She condoned the lie when she thought it was a girl. She decided lying is bad when it turned out the truth wasn't something she condoned. That's the only difference. If mom really gave a shit about being lied to, the gender of the hookup wouldn't matter. OP, this is your wake-up call. YTA, and you and your mom aren't as tolerant as you think you might be. The worst you can accuse this guy of is having good grades and being loved by his dad. And guess what? Kids are a parent's first priority. Your mom should absolutely stand up for you if your stepdad was shitty to you, and that's exactly what your stepdad is doing for his son. Because your mom was shitty. If their marriage is going through a rough patch, that's their business as adults to deal with, and your mom needs to reassess and eat some humble pie and really examine her own feelings as to why the lie is only a betrayal now. Either her moral code is inconsistent or she's got some homophobia going on. Either way, that's something she needs to address and work on. As for you, keep your eyes on your own work, do your best at your own schoolwork and whatever, and stop comparing yourself to others if all you're going to end up doing is try to tear them down to your level instead of trying to be better. She's all around attention-seeking and selfish. Imagine a step-parent loving their biological child a bit more than their stepchild. Shocking. OP won't be satisfied until she's the center of everyone's universe. That's her motivation here. After all, life is just a movie she's starring in, and everyone around her is obviously just the supporting cast. Her stepbrother didn't fall in line with her OP-centric worldview, so she outed him before he was ready. AITA, indeed. Yes, OP. Not even a gray area. I have no idea if OP is actually homophobic, which is bad enough, or just leveraging it out of convenience to cause drama and a rift in her family, which is almost worse, frankly. OP, you need to start thinking about how you can make this up to your step-family. But I'd suspect the damage is already done. You're a literal informant, and I'd be surprised if either of them will ever be able to fully trust you again. What you did was revolting. YTA, you've never got along, and I can't imagine you ever will now, which maybe that's what you wanted. To ruin your mom's marriage and your relationship with your stepbrother and stepdad. It is never okay to out someone unless you have their expressed consent, even then it's kinda iffy for me. Turns out your mom knew she was okay with letting him be a teen. And while her comment does come off somewhat homophobic, just the way you've got it written, I'm not sure how she said it exactly, she can't control that feeling of being lied to. Though I'm not sure why being with a guy or gal matters, she knew he was going out to see someone and just assumed it was a girl. You didn't just decide to tell them the truth, you decided that you wanted to get at your stepbrother, and I firmly believe there was malice behind your actions. You clearly disliked how much your stepdad cares for his son. You don't give any examples of your stepdad blindly favoring or excusing any actions, just that he's really proud of his son. And you didn't seem to like that. I'm not going to bother with telling you you're a homophobe because I see you deflected in the comments and refuse to see how actually homophobic your actions were. I will, however, make sure you know what an asshole you are for outing your brother. What would you have done if your mother and father had kicked him out? If they'd hurt him for being gay? What if he'd killed himself over this? Would you still feel like coming to Reddit to fish for validation over this shitty thing you did? Would you be happy that you finally stuck it to your brother? Because keep in mind, you haven't actually told us what your brother did wrong beyond not wanting to bond with you and his dad being biased in his favor, which, by the way, is not his fault and absolutely does not warrant you outing your brother to his parents. You are very lucky your parents are only mad because of the lying, but I want you to think long and hard about all the very real possibilities that could have come about from this reckless stunt of yours. The worst part about this is that I have no idea if the gravity of your antics is actually getting through to you, or if you even feel guilty if they are. Either way, YTA massively. If you have a shred.
Am I the a-hole for not wanting to do Thanksgiving dinner at my parents' without my wife? Not the a-hole. I, 30 male, feel stupid for even asking. My sister, 29, and my wife, 34 female, did not have the best history. Before we met, my wife was my sister's landlady and she was renting the room at the back of my wife's house 6 years ago. She got evicted less than 4 months after moving in because my sister did not pay her rent at all. Then she was taken to court for damages that costed way more than she put down on the security deposit. My sister did end up having to pay, but basically hated my wife for this. We met after this all went down and I went to go pick up my sister's stuff she left behind that my wife was decent enough to not have thrown out yet. We started chatting and really hit it off. Started dating. Year and a half later, she got pregnant with our son. Now happily married, but my sister never took it well. We weren't as close before all this, but after becoming a traitor in her eyes, we didn't talk much. She hasn't even met my son who's 3. My parents are really trying to push for us all to have a family Thanksgiving at their place. My sister never wanted to go because I'd be there with my wife and she didn't want to see me. My parents never pushed it before because they didn't think my sister was being fair, considering the issues she has with my wife for all things she did herself. This year, they feel different though since my sister broke up with her boyfriend of 6 years and it's her first holiday without him. She, however, doesn't want to see my son or wife, so that's why they're asking if they be left at home. My wife doesn't have any other family and I don't want her and my son missing out because my sister doesn't want them there. It's not a problem for me to miss out on dinner with my wife so my sister could have the company and I just stay home with my own family. My sister is blowing it out of proportion because she wants me there. Being an a-hole because she wants the whole family there. Are taking her side here because it's been a difficult year losing boyfriend and job, so she just wants one family dinner for Thanksgiving. I get it. It's been tough for her. I'm just having a hard time seeing how it's selfish or being inconsiderate to not want to exclude my family.
As a landlady, I have little compassion for people who don't pay rent from start. We've had one tenant who suddenly stopped paying because she quit her job and decided rent was the one thing she would not pay anymore. We've had one who just moved in and didn't pay anything from the start, and we've had one who repeatedly forgot to pay, so I always had to remind him how many months he still owed us. The last one actually seemed mostly helpless, but it was exhausting to always be on his back. OP's sister never meant to pay rent, I'm rather sure, or she would have at least pretended to for the first 1 or 2 months. She brought this on herself completely, so she can go kick rocks. OP, either your whole family goes, or you stay home with them. If your sister wants a relationship with you, she needs to understand that your wife is in the picture for good and she can get over herself or not. Her choice, your NTA. NTA, that sucks that your sister is sad, but she broke up with him. So it wasn't like she was dumped, etc. Has no one ever called her out on her not paying the rent? Was her plan? Anyway, I do find the situation interesting funny, because if she had paid the rent and the contract ended smoothly, you'd likely never have met your wife. You said that you and your sister weren't even that close before the eviction incident. Why is she being clingy now? Don't leave your wife and child alone on Thanksgiving. How enjoyable would the evening be anyway? NTA for saying that if you go, your whole family goes. The other option is to just not go. Your sister can have the time with your parents. If your sister got evicted for not paying rent and paid for damages, proved in court, the landlord could have been anyone, it wasn't personal, and your sister needs to get over it. As long as your wife didn't bring it up, this could be in the past if your sister let it be. Eventually she has to accept your family. Her difficult year doesn't negate your family, including her own nephew. Make this a firm boundary. Although, TBH, it would be best if you all met before a major family holiday and talk just to move on first, make it all about your son. It sounds like your sister just needs to get her shit together, and maybe therapy could help. Also weird that she wants you, the traitor, at the dinner, seems like that's just to try to hurt your wife. So don't let that happen, or YWBTA to your wife. NTA. Your sister doesn't get to dictate where you can be at for the holiday. She has done a damn good job of keeping herself separate from your family for years now. She needs to grow up and get over things. Don't let her control you and use her breakup as an excuse to get what she wants. She will be utterly delighted knowing that your wife and son are at home all alone while she gets to have things her way. Stay home with your wife and son. Let her go to your parents for the holiday. You have your family and they are your priority. Family isn't just blood, it's formed through love. You love your wife as she does you. Together you had a son. You have a beautiful family right there. The holidays aren't just about your parents. It's about the family as a whole. Yours is expected to be excluded though. Have your own holiday and celebrate that moment with your wife and son. They are your family. Don't ever let anyone on this earth treat them as they are not, especially over petty crap.
Am I the a-hole for telling my sister she needs to start being grateful for her healthy baby? My female 21 sister 25 just had her first baby a few months ago. He, James, was born completely healthy, got to go home the same day. She had a very easy pregnancy and delivery, said so herself, but for some reason is always freaking out thinking there's something wrong with her baby. About a week after James was born, my sister got a call from his pediatrician saying they needed to redo one of his newborn screenings because he was too close to the borderline. My sister started freaking out, crying, acting like this meant he was going to die even though he hadn't been diagnosed with anything or even failed the test. They just needed to redo it to be safe. He passed the second time. Her next freak out came when he was about 7 weeks old. She started saying he hadn't smiled yet, and everyone she knew who had babies started smiling at 6 weeks and saying maybe this is an early sign he has autism. My parents kept saying it's completely normal for a baby to not smile right on time, and her pediatrician even said they weren't concerned, but she was extremely upset and stressed by this. I asked her if she would love him any less if he had autism, because that's how she was acting, and she looked disgusted and said, "Of course not. She just wants him to be okay." He smiled a few days after this freak out. The most recent freak out was his first roll. He rolled for the first time at 12 weeks, and that seems like something parents would be excited about, but nope. She was worried he rolled too early and this could be a sign of cerebral palsy. I've read that early rolling can be an early sign, but 12 weeks is not considered early rolling. I was finally fed up with this and told her she is so lucky to have such a healthy baby, and some people would kill to be as lucky as her, and she needs to stop freaking out and be grateful. I told her it is starting to look like she wants there to be something wrong with him. She just said something like, "Okay, sorry, I won't talk about my health concerns anymore," and has been very distant since. I recently found out she made a new family group chat without me in it, where she sends pictures and updates on him, and it's making me wonder if I went too far and hurt her feelings. Am I the a-hole?
I'm not a mother, but my mother had two, sort of but not actually, near-death experiences with her first. She never got treatment, but it's very clear she has a good amount of trauma from it. It's scary when you're a new mother and you're not told how to be a mother, and to be honest you're not really told how a baby is. Sure, there's books about developmental stages, but I imagine actually looking after a baby feels completely new and different. It'd constantly be freaking out too. I don't know if a lot of stuff with my own body is normal. Am I supposed to magically know if my child is okay? OP comes across as wanting to pick fights and get upset about something, so much so she will search for absolutely anything to pick at. This, especially when OP knows the sister struggles with anxiety. The thing about kids and pregnancies that I don't think OP understands is that everything is fine until it isn't. You spend the whole first trimester praying that you don't have a miscarriage when it feels like the odds are stacked against you. Then you wait for the anatomy scan where they tell you your kid's fine. Or that it's not a viable life, severe health issues. With zero warning. Then the baby starts moving, and when they don't, you freak out. Then there's labor. Are they breathing? Am I okay? The list is endless. And then you've got a newborn, a blown out vagina, hormones your body won't be able to properly regulate for about a year. The entire time you are pregnant too, after you give birth you are waiting for it all to come crashing down. Things are okay until they're not. Shit happens. Kids are not immortal, and they're not unable to have severe problems without warning. It's terrifying when something happens, and suddenly you're not sure if everything is okay. OP, you're a massive asshole, and I hope you stay the hell away from your sister after you apologize, because she deserves so much better than someone like you around her. I don't think you could have empathy if you tried. YTA super big time. Being a first-time parent is a super scary and nerve-wracking experience. You're woefully unprepared, and literally everything has the potential to harm them in some way. I was a nervous wreck for quite some time after our son was born, and it was the support of my friends and family that helped me through and kept me level-headed. Instead of being completely callous, you could have offered a few words of encouragement and reassurance. Instead, you went off selfishly because apparently it's easier for you to be a dick than to listen to your sister and offer a little help. I hope you read every comment calling you an asshole. Grow up and go apologize to your sister for being a callous asshole. Edit. Typos. I agree. I think a lot of people are missing that this is more than normal new mother anxiousness. This doesn't necessarily stop as the child gets older and will likely negatively affect him. As a child of a mother like this, it's extremely taxing to be the object of this kind of anxiety, with no break, ever. As you get older, you gradually learn to take it with a grain of salt. But you grow up feeling like you're made of glass. A child instinctively trusts its mother's judgment and internalizes the anxiety. It's not healthy, and the mother needs to keep it better in check.